What's up, family? Hey, we're gonna have a real good or deep conversation today, okay? Stay with me. This is gonna get deep, extremely deep, okay? Um, Years ago, I went to National University and I was studying psychology and I was studying, the hormones in the body and just how they affect our moods and just all that other stuff, okay? How different chemicals and things of that nature affect our bodies. Stay with me, we're going to go somewhere. It's one thing to have book knowledge, it's another thing to have life experiences. I'm going to say that again. It's one thing to have book knowledge, but it's a whole nother level when you have that life experience. Okay? 2016, um, 2015, excuse me. My wife was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. Stay with me. This is gonna get heavy. Um, and it was weird because that was like a real trying time in my life. Obviously, 5 months prior to us finding out about her cancer, my brother had just passed away from colon cancer. So now, my wife, my best friend, we've just been told that she has cancer, and there's nothing that they could do about it. All the book knowledge I had couldn't help me. You know what I mean? I was beyond pissed, hurt, just devastated. You know what I mean? Um, and so she stopped working, and after a while, I stopped working. And I just wanted to spend as much time as I could with her. Stay with me. We're going somewhere. During this process of um, watching my wife and knowing that she was going to die, and best case scenario, she had 6 months. You know what I mean? Stay with me, man. I was beyond depressed. You know what I mean? I was beyond um, angry, um, just anxiety, just all of that. You know what I mean? I was done. Stay with me. One day, um, God told me to go get some animals. I need to start raising animals. Stay with me. I didn't understand that. And I'm talking to God like, what the heck is raising animals got to do with my wife dying from cancer? And I'm pissed at God. Stay with me. I'm pissed at God because He took my brother, who was a good guy, and now He's taking my wife. And again, I feel cursed. You know what I mean? I feel like God hates me, like God has a vendetta against me. Stay with me. And so I'm trying to understand why I need to get some animals. What the heck does that got to do with anything? Stay with me. So we got two baby sheep. Um, we got two baby pigs. Got some ducks, some rabbits, and so I'm raising these animals. And when it's like get you a start you a garden, and I'm like, what the hell? What does this got to do? And it's like, I could grow, fruits and vegetables. My wife was doing a lot of juicing. And it's like, okay, I could raise fruits and vegetables for my wife, so we don't have to spend as much money on, raw vegetables. Stay with me. One day I was sitting out there looking at the animals, and it hit me. I didn't want to show my sadness or my fear around my wife. And so I would always go outside, and man, I would just go for a quick walk, or I would say I was going for a quick walk. Man, I'm outside crying. You know what I mean? Because I'm about to lose her and I know it. And so every day I had to get up and go outside and feed the animals. And so one day I'm sitting there and I'm looking at the pigs, and I'm like, what the heck, you know? And it occurred to me, inside the house was death. Stay with me. My wife, my best friend, is about to pass away from cancer. The diagnosis is 6 months at best. There's nothing they could do for her. Outside the house, man, it was life. Outside the house was these animals that I'm responsible for. So now my mind shifts from being inside this house, trying to take care of my wife, being here with my wife, consoling my wife, spending quality time with my wife, to now I'm outside. I'm outside taking care of these animals. I'm outside watering all these plants, you know, planting seeds, watching the vegetables grow. What that did for me emotionally, psychologically, spiritually was, man, I transformed my way of thinking. Stay with me. I went from being in an environment where it was doom and gloom to just walking outside to these animals, to the areas where I had the animals, and to the areas where I had the garden. And there's this life. And they're completely dependent on me. Stay with me. So I have to feed these animals. So I'm taking them food. I gotta water the plants and stuff. And I'm sitting there looking at the pigs one day. And it occurred to me. Depression is a choice. It's a choice. Inside the house, you're in an environment to where it's depressing. You're in an environment to where death is inevitable. You're in an environment to where death is knocking at the door. That's sad. That's depressing. That's helplessness. It's a loss of hope. Stay with me. Outside that door, I'm tending to a garden and I'm seeing these sprouts, these vegetables and stuff sprout up. I'm looking at these pigs and the sheep and the ducks and the rabbits and all these other animals, the doves and all these other animals that I have now. And I'm watching them grow and become healthier and chunkier and just all that other stuff. And I'm looking at their personalities and I'm watching them run around playing and making noise and just communicating with each other. You know what I mean? Stay with me. And I'm sitting there and I'm stuck because it's like, man, I needed this. I needed these animals. I needed these plants in my life. I needed to see life. I needed to see growth and development. Stay with me. Inside the house was darkness. Outside of the house was light, was sunlight, was hope. You know what I mean? Was growth, it was development taking place. All these things were growing. They hadn't even reached their full potential yet. And yet inside the house, my wife was on a decline, a rapid decline. And it was noticeable. And so by going back and forth, I realized that, man, I control my emotions. In this situation inside the house, man, it's sad. It's sad because I see my best friend. I see the love of my life passing away in front of me. And there's nothing that I can do to help her. There's nothing I can do to stop it. Walk outside of the house, I still have other responsibilities. Those other responsibilities brought me laughter, just looking at the pigs running around and just acting stupid and just doing what they do, you know what I mean? And the sheep and the doves and just all the animals, just watching them. It was like, it was a breath of fresh air. Stay with me. And so, I had to come to the grips with the fact that even though outside, my wife was in the house and the diagnosis hadn't changed, she was still gonna die. She was still sick. She was still dying. When I focused on that, I was sad. When I focused on her and her situation, I was overcome with grief and anxiety. When I shift my attention to these other things that I'm responsible for, man, I had this peace, this joy that came over me, this sense of accomplishment, because I'm watching these plants grow and they're healthy. I'm watching these animals grow. And so that gave me a peace, that gave me some joy knowing that, man, you know, and these animals are here because of you. These animals are strong and healthy because of you. These animals are vibrant because of you. These plants are growing because of you. You're doing this. You're tending to the soil. You're making sure they got the proper lighting and the proper watering, the proper fertilization and all that other stuff. Stay with me, I'm going somewhere. And so it occurred to me that in life, as long as you focus on something that you can't control, as long as you focus on something that's sad, that's depressing you, you're gonna always stay sad and depressed. But when you shift your thoughts to something else, it's not that you're avoiding that. That's inevitable. You can't change that. I couldn't change the fact that my best friend, my road dog, my wife was passing away. I couldn't change that. I couldn't stop that. And that made me feel so helpless. It made me feel like I failed as a husband. I failed her as a friend. When in reality, I had no control over that. Stay with me. Family, you have control over your anxiety. You have control over your depression. You have control over your environment. And what I mean your environment, you have control over how you respond to life. You are in total control of that. And I know a lot of people say, well, man, I have these chemical imbalances and whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. We have control over that. And it's crazy because our bodies are so magically made. Stay with me. Our bodies are a miracle. And what do I mean by that? I look into space a lot. I love looking up at the stars, you know. And it's just so amazing to me. You know, it's just like, I'm just in awe. The same awe I have for space is the same awe that I have for the internal workings of our body. Stay with me. As above, so below. And I know some people, man, that's demonic. Man, I ain't got time for that ignorant stuff. You know what I mean? Stay with me. We're going somewhere deep. As above, so below. And what do I mean by that? The same amazement that's in space is within us. It is within us. The same universe that's out there is in here. There are 4 major hormones that affect our moods. Serotonin, dopamine, adrenaline, oxytocin, okay? We affect those. We affect those. We control those. We control those hormones by how much sunlight we get, how much sleep we get, how we exercise, if we exercise, the processed crap food that we eat, the amount of coffee that we drink. These things, coffee messes up our freaking chemicals, our hormones. And I know we're addicted to coffee and all this other crap, but we're also addicted to freaking feeling sad and being depressed. You know what I mean? We're also addicted to our anxiety. We don't realize the correlation between our diet, our exercise, amount of sunlight, our meditation, and just all these other things with our freaking our mind, our mental capacity, our mood swings. We don't correlate the two for whatever reason. Family, you are ultimately responsible for how you feel. I'm going to say that again. You are ultimately responsible for how you feel. It's not God's job to sit there and make you feel good about you. It's not your husband's job. It's not your wife's job. It's not your girlfriend, your significant other. It's nobody's job but yours to make you feel good about you. That's a burden, an unnecessary burden, and a shifting of responsibility from yourself to others. And in our society today, for the most part, we don't want to be responsible. We don't want to take responsibility for how we feel. We don't want that responsibility. We don't want to be responsible for, excuse me, I gotta get some tea. We don't want to take that responsibility. We want to shift the blame to everybody else. We want to shift the blame on everybody else. If you're sitting there and you're listening to that toxic TV, the news and the drama and the murder and the killings and all that other crap, I have an aunt who watches every episode of Snapped. You know what I mean? How in the world can that be healthy for anybody? You know what I mean? If all you do is sit there and watch that type of stuff, Law and Order, Special Victims Units, all this other crap, you know what I mean? If that's all you watch, man, that's what you're taking into your mental capacity. That's what you're taking into your emotional state. If you're sitting there watching news all day long, if you're not even watching, just listening to that crap, man, that's affecting your mood. That's affecting your feelings, your emotions. We're responsible for that. If you listen to crap music, that's on you. You know what I mean? That affects your emotions. We don't want to accept these responsibilities though. If you're eating crappy food, and what I mean crappy food, processed food, a bunch of sugar, you're messing with your emotions. You're messing with your hormones. Okay? That's your fault. That's all you. That's all you. If you're drinking, doing dope, whatever the case may be, that's all you. I know we do those things to escape. I know we do those things to feel good. Your body naturally has these four hormones, or a lot of hormones, but there's these four major hormones that I just mentioned that will naturally do those things for you. They create and keep creating themselves, producing and releasing those things within your body on their own, its own. Your body does that naturally. But when you take in processed food, when you don't get enough sunlight, when you don't get enough sleep, when you don't exercise, when you don't meditate, when you eat crappy food, when you drink a bunch of alcohol, when you do dope, your body shuts down its processing system. And what I mean by that, your body starts creating these hormones on their own. Your body shuts down in that aspect. It no longer makes or releases dopamine. It no longer creates or releases serotonin, oxytocin, adrenaline anymore. Why? because you're taking in all this synthetic crap. You're taking in all this stuff that blocks your body from doing that. Family, how we feel about ourselves, how we feel about life in general, it's our responsibility. It's completely on us. I don't care what's going on in the world. It don't matter what's going on in the world. You can still be happy. You can still have joy. You can still have peace of mind. It don't matter what's going on around us. You can still have those things. You don't have to be full of anxiety. You don't have to be full of fear. You don't have to be depressed. You don't have to have insomnia. You don't have to have heart disease. You don't have to have high blood pressure. You don't have to have any of this crap. We have all these things because of our actions or the lack of our actions. The lack of exercising properly. The lack of getting enough sunlight. The lack of meditating. My hope and prayer is that family, we take responsibility for our actions. And we start understanding what our actions is doing to our body, what our actions is doing to our mental health. I don't fool with a lot of people because I don't have time for their negativity. I don't have time for their drama. That's my choice because I value my peace of mind. I value my joy. And I'm not allowing anyone to mess that up. I don't care who they are. It don't matter to me. And I mean that. I have family members that, man, I'll shoot you a text every once in a blue moon. I have family members I won't even conversate with because they on that stupid stuff. When I say stupid, they on that negative, toxic stuff. And I ain't got time for that. I don't have time for that. To each their own. You know what I mean? You are responsible for your life. You are responsible for what you process inside of you. And what I mean by that, we talk all the time about you are what you eat. If you're sitting there eating crap, processed food, drinking crap, a bunch of coffee, and don't get me wrong, I'll go to Starbucks every once in a blue moon and get a caramel frappuccino. You know what I mean? A caramel, or a Java chip frap. You know what I mean? I'll do that once in a blue moon. You know what I mean? Every once in a blue moon, I may have a hot cup of coffee. Don't do it a lot. I drink mostly tea. Mostly just plain water. You are what you eat. Not just physically, but mentally, intellectually. And I trip out on people, man. They're so yoked up and they're so in shape and woo-doo, but their mental capacity is shot to hell. They could tell you everything about working out and woo-doo, but man, emotionally, they're freaking retarded. And I don't mean that in a negative, I'm just retarded. Their mental capacity has been retarded, has been stunted. Because they won't take responsibility for their emotional state. They won't take responsibility for their intellectual state. They won't take responsibility for their spiritual growth and development. But physically, man, they're put together nice. Emotionally, intellectually, spiritually, they're gone. You know what I mean? Gone. Shot to hell. And in our society, it's all about how you look. In our society, we're so superficial. It's about looking good, you know, having a nice physique, having that bottle shaped body or whatever you're interested in. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Do I like a nice body? I like somebody, I'm attracted to somebody that take care of themselves. And what I mean by that, not just take care of themselves physically, but take care of themselves spiritually, emotionally, intellectually. If all you do is take care of yourself physically, that's not gonna do anything for me. You know, for me it ain't. If all you do is take care of yourself emotionally and intellectually and spiritually, but you don't take care of yourself physically, that's not gonna do anything for me. For me, we're all different to each their own. Family, this is a long video. I apologize for that. My hope and prayer. I think it's my second time saying that. Um, we get we get it together. We have to get it together and understand that it's our responsibility. I don't care what you've been through. I don't care what your baggage is, what your trauma is. None of that stuff matters. Because when we become transparent with each other and honest with each other, we've all been through a lot. We've all been through a lot. Just because you've been through a lot don't mean that you have to look like you've been through a lot. You know what I mean? I've been through a hell of a lot. Just because you've been through a lot don't mean you have to look like it. I don't talk about the Bible a lot, but there's one passage in the Bible that's always stuck with me, and it's always just resonated with me. And that's the part of the Bible about the three Hebrew boys being in a fire and coming out of the fire and not smelling like smoke. Their clothes, their hair, nothing was burned, nothing was singed. They didn't even smell like smoke. And what that's always stood with me. That's always told me and showed me, man, it don't matter what the hell you've been through. You ain't got to look like it. You ain't got to act like it. I've been through a lot of crap emotionally. I've been through a lot of crap physically. You know what I mean? I lost a lot of loved ones, close loved ones. You know what I mean? Been molested, saw my mom. I've been through a lot. But my whole thing is, man, you ain't got to look like it. You ain't got to act like it. Stop being a victim. Raise your vibration. And you raise your vibration by how you eat. You raise your vibration by the things you drink. You raise your vibration by the amount of sunlight you get. You raise your vibration by the amount of exercise and the quality of exercises that you do. You raise your vibration by the things that you process inside your head intellectually. You know what I mean? By the music you listen to. By the things that you entertain. I love you guys. Happy healing. Peace.